Your late nights at work ended in his bed. I saw everything.
The moment I saw my wife Sarah giggling like a schoolgirl while Colin's hand lingered on her lower back during our monthly game night, I knew my 15-year marriage was about to become a crime scene. Not the messy kind. The kind where your life gets torn apart in slow motion while everyone pretends nothing's happening. "Dave, you're up for charades," Sarah called out, her voice artificially bright. She was still standing way too close to her brother Colin, who had that smug grin plastered across his face like he'd just won the lottery. "I'm Dave Mallory, 42 years old, senior IT manager at Hartwell Industries, and apparently the last person to realize my wife was sleeping with her own stepbrother." Yeah, you read that right. Colin wasn't her biological brother. Their parents married when Sarah was 16 and Colin was 14, but still, the whole thing made my skin crawl. "Actually, I think I'll sit this round out," I said, taking a long sip of my beer and watching them carefully. "You two seem to have the chemistry thing figured out already." Sarah's face flushed red, but Colin just laughed out. "Come on, Dave, don't be such a spoil sport. Sarah and I have always been close. We're family." Family, right. The way Colin's eyes roamed over my wife's body when he thought no one was looking wasn't exactly brotherly love. And the way Sarah lit up whenever he entered a room, that wasn't sisterly affection either. Our friends Mike and Jennifer sat on the couch, clearly uncomfortable with the tension crackling through the air. Mike had been my buddy since college, and Jennifer was Sarah's closest friend. They'd been coming to our game nights for 3 years, but tonight felt different. Tonight felt like an ending. "Maybe we should call it early," Jennifer suggested, glancing at her watch. "It's getting late." "Nonsense," Colin boomed, refilling his wine glass. "The night is young. Besides, I've got some exciting news to share." Sarah perked up immediately. "What news?" Colin grinned and pulled out his phone. "I just got approved for that downtown loft I was looking at. 2 bedrooms, butcher view of the city. I'm moving in next weekend." "That's wonderful," Sarah practically squealed, throwing her arms around him in a hug that lasted about 5 seconds too long. "I'm so proud of you." I watched this display with the detached interest of a scientist observing lab rats. Colin had been living with his girlfriend Rebecca for 2 years. Why would he suddenly need his own place? And why did my wife seem more excited about his apartment than she'd been about anything in our marriage for the past 6 months? "Congratulations, man," I said flatly. "Rebecca must be thrilled about the extra space." Colin's smile faltered for just a second. "Actually, Rebecca and I decided to take a break. We want different things." "What kind of different things?" Mike asked innocently. Colin's eyes flicked to Sarah before he answered. She wanted to get married and have kids right away. "I'm not ready for that kind of commitment. I need my freedom." Freedom. The word hung in the air like a bad smell. I looked at Sarah, whose face had gone pale. She'd been dropping hints about wanting another baby for months, even though our daughter Emma was already 15 and barely tolerated living with us. "Well," I said, standing up and stretching, "sounds like you've got it all figured out. Sarah, can I talk to you in the kitchen for a minute?" "Actually, Dave, I was hoping to hear more about Colin's new place," Sarah said quickly. "Maybe we could help him move?" "I'd love the help," Colin said, his eyes never leaving Sarah's face, especially from someone with such good taste in decorating. I felt something cold settle in my stomach. "Sarah, kitchen, now." The authority in my voice must have surprised her because she actually followed me into the kitchen without arguing. I waited until we were out of earshot before I spoke. "What the heck is going on with you and Colin?" "I don't know what you mean," she said, but she wouldn't meet my eyes. "Cut the crap, Sarah. You're acting like a teenager with a crush. It's embarrassing." Her face hardened. "Colin is going through a difficult time. I'm being supportive. Maybe if you showed half as much interest in other people's lives, you'd understand." "Other people? He's your stepbrother, and you're married to me. Or did you forget that part?" "Don't be ridiculous, Dave. You're being paranoid and jealous over nothing." But it wasn't nothing. I could feel it in my bones, the way you feel a storm coming before the first drops of rain. Something was happening between them, something that was going to destroy everything I'd built. We returned to the living room to find Colin showing Mike and Jennifer photos on his phone. "The master bedroom has this amazing view," he was saying, "and the second bedroom would be perfect for..." Well, whatever. Sarah moved to look over his shoulder at the phone, her hand resting casually on his arm. "It's beautiful, Colin, really beautiful." "You'll have to come see it once I'm settled in," Colin said, looking directly at her. "I could cook dinner. Just the two of us, like old times." That's when I knew for certain. The way he said just the two of us, with my wife standing right there, the way Sarah's breath caught slightly, the way they seemed to forget that three other people were in the room watching this pathetic display. Sounds cozy. And so, I said. Very intimate, very familial. Colin's jaw tightened. Is there something you want to say, Dave? Just that it's interesting how close you two have gotten lately, especially since Sarah's been working late so many nights. What is it, honey? 3 nights a week now? Sarah's face went white. I've been busy with the Morrison account. You know that. Right, the Morrison account. The one that requires so many evening meetings. The one that keeps you out until midnight. Mike and Jennifer were looking back and forth between us like they were watching a tennis match. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. Maybe we should go, Jennifer said softly. No, stay, Colin said, his voice taking on a challenging edge. Dave seems to have something on his mind. Let's hear it. I looked at my wife, at this woman I'd loved for 15 years, who'd given me a daughter, who'd shared my bed and my dreams and my fears. She was staring at the floor like it held the secrets of the universe. I don't have anything to say that can't wait, I said finally. But Colin, that freedom you mentioned, be careful what you wish for. Sometimes it comes with a price you're not prepared to pay. The party broke up shortly after that, with awkward goodbyes and promises to do this again soon that everyone knew were lies. Mike clapped me on the shoulder as he left. You okay, buddy? He asked quietly. Just tired, I said. Long week. But as I watched Colin give Sarah one last lingering hug goodbye, whispering something in her ear that made her smile, I knew I was anything but okay. I was standing on the edge of a cliff, and the ground was starting to crumble beneath my feet. After everyone left, Sarah went straight upstairs without a word. I stayed in the living room, cleaning up wine glasses and trying to process what I'd witnessed. The way they'd looked at each other, the casual touches, the inside jokes, the plans that seemed to include everyone except me. I was loading the dishwasher when I heard Sarah's phone buzz on the kitchen counter. She'd forgotten it in her rush to avoid talking to me. The screen lit up with a text message from Colin. Tonight was perfect. Can't wait for next weekend. Love you. Love you, not love you like you'd text a sister. Love you, like you'd text someone you were planning to run away with. I stared at that message for a long time, feeling something die inside my chest. Then I did something I'd never done in 15 years of marriage. I scrolled up through their text history. What I found made my blood run cold. Weeks of messages, months maybe. Plans to meet. Complaints about me. Intimate details about their feelings for each other. And then, about 3 weeks ago, a message from Colin that made everything crystal clear. I found the perfect place. 2 bedrooms just like we talked about. One for us, one for Emma when she visits. We can finally be together the way we should have been all along. Sarah's response, I'm scared, Colin. What if Dave finds out before I can figure out how to tell him? Colin, he won't. And even if he does, what's he gonna do? He's too much of a coward to fight for anything. He'll just roll over and let it happen like he always does. Too much of a coward. Let it happen like I always do. I set the phone down carefully, my hands shaking with rage. They thought I was weak. They thought I'd just accept this betrayal, sign the divorce papers, and fade quietly into the background while they played house with my daughter. They were wrong. I spent the rest of the night in my home office making plans. I'm an IT manager, which means I understand systems, processes, and how to gather information without leaving fingerprints. By morning, I had a strategy that would make Sun Tzu proud. First, I needed allies, people who could help me document what was happening and serve as witnesses when the time came. I started with Rebecca, Colin's ex-girlfriend. If anyone had dirt on Colin, it would be her. I found Rebecca's number in Colin's contact list. He'd left his phone on our coffee table the previous weekend and called her from my office Monday morning. Rebecca, this is Dave Mallory, Colin's, his stepsister's husband. Oh, hi Dave, is everything okay? That's what I'm trying to figure out. I was wondering if we could meet for coffee. I have some questions about Colin, and I think you might be the only person who can give me honest answers. There was a long pause. This is about Sarah, isn't it? My heart pounded. You know? I suspected. Colin started acting different about 6 months ago. Secretive. He'd get texts at all hours and claim they were from work, but he'd smile when he read them. Not a work smile. And he started talking about Sarah constantly. How unhappy she was in her marriage, how she deserved better, how she was wasted on someone who didn't appreciate her. Jesus. There's more, Dave. Things you need to know. Can you meet me at Starbucks on 5th Street? The one near the hospital? I get off work at 3. I spent the rest of the day in a fog, going through the motions of managing my team while my personal life imploded in slow motion. At 3 o'clock sharp, I was sitting in Starbucks, nursing a coffee I couldn't taste, waiting for Rebecca. She arrived 10 minutes later looking tired and sad. Rebecca was a pretty woman in her early 30s with dark hair and kind eyes, the kind of woman most men would be grateful to have. But apparently, she wasn't enough for Colin. "Thank you for calling me," she said as she sat down. "I've been wanting to talk to someone about this for weeks, but I didn't know how." "Tell me everything." Rebecca took a deep breath. "Colin and I broke up 6 weeks ago, but it wasn't mutual like he's been telling people. He dumped me out of nowhere. Said he'd realized he was in love with someone else. Someone he'd loved for years, but couldn't be with because of circumstances." "Did he say who?" "Not directly, but he let slip that it was someone who was married, someone with a teenage daughter, someone who deserved to be with a man who truly understood her." I felt sick. "What else?" "He's been planning this for months, Dave. The apartment, the timing, everything. He told me he was going to wait until after the holidays to make his move, but then he decided he couldn't wait anymore. He said life was too short to waste time being miserable." "Miserable? He thinks Sarah is miserable with me." Rebecca's expression softened. "I'm sorry, Dave. I know this must be devastating, but there's something else, something that might help you." She pulled out her phone and scrolled through her photos. "Colin has been taking pictures, lots of pictures. He showed me some of them before I figured out what was going on. Pictures of Sarah at work events, at the grocery store, at Emma's school functions. He's been following her around like some kind of stalker." She showed me her phone screen. There was Sarah, walking out of our local Target, completely unaware that someone was photographing her. The timestamp showed it was taken 3 weeks ago. "He has dozens of these," Rebecca said. "Maybe hundreds. He's obsessed with her, Dave. This isn't just an affair. This is something much more disturbing." I stared at the photo, feeling a cold rage building in my chest. "Rebecca, I need you to do something for me. Something that might help me protect my family. Anything. I need you to get me copies of those photos, all of them, and any text messages or emails Colin sent you about Sarah. Can you do that?" She nodded without hesitation. "I'll send everything to your email tonight. Dave, be careful. Colin isn't the man people think he is. He's manipulative and vindictive. When he doesn't get what he wants, he gets nasty." That evening, I sat in my office reading through the files Rebecca had sent me. Hundreds of photos of my wife taken without her knowledge. Screenshots of text messages where Colin fantasized about their future together. Emails where he detailed his plans to rescue Sarah from her boring life with that loser husband. But the most deeply incriminating evidence was a voice recording Rebecca had made during one of their last fights. Colin's voice, clear as day, saying, "Sarah doesn't love him anymore. She hasn't for years. She's only staying because she's afraid of being alone. But once she sees what real love looks like, she'll leave him without a second thought. And if Dave tries to make trouble, I'll make sure he regrets it." I had everything I needed to destroy Colin, but I wanted more than just revenge against him. I wanted Sarah to face consequences too. She was a willing participant in this betrayal, and she deserved to lose more than just her marriage. The next phase of my plan required getting Mike and Jennifer on my side. They'd witnessed the inappropriate behavior at game night, and they'd be crucial witnesses if things got ugly. I called Mike Tuesday evening. "Hey buddy, can we grab a beer? I need to talk to someone." "Sure man, you sounded pretty stressed the other night." "Everything okay with you and Sarah?" We met at Murphy's Pub, a dive bar near my office where the beer was cheap and the lighting was dim. Perfect for difficult conversations. "Mike, I'm going to tell you something, and I need you to promise me you'll keep it between us until I figure out what to do." "Of course. What's going on?" I told him everything. The text messages, the photos, the apartment, Rebecca's information. Mike's expression grew darker with every detail. "Jesus Christ, Dave. Colin's been stalking her, and Sarah's going along with it? She thinks she's in love with him. She thinks I'm some boring loser who doesn't understand her. She has no idea what kind of man Colin really is." Mike shook his head. "This is so messed up. What are you going to do?" "I'm going to expose them. Both of them. But I need witnesses. People who can confirm that something inappropriate was happening. Jennifer and I both saw how they were acting at game night. We talked about it on the way home. Jennifer was really uncomfortable with the whole thing. Would you be willing to testify to that if it came down to a custody battle? Mike's eyes widened. You think it'll go that far? Mike, they're planning to move in together. They want Emma to visit them in their love nest. My 15-year-old daughter is going to be exposed to this sick relationship, and they think that's perfectly normal. Yeah, I think it's going to go that far. We talked for another hour, with Mike agreeing to support me however he could. He also promised to talk to Jennifer and get her on board. By the time I got home, Sarah was already in bed, pretending to be asleep. I lay next to her in the dark, listening to her breathe, wondering how many nights she'd been planning her escape while I slept beside her. How many times had she looked at me and thought about how much happier she'd be with Colin? How many lies had she told me while smiling to my face? Wednesday morning, I put the next phase of my plan into action. I called Sarah's boss, Patricia Morrison, and asked if I could take her to lunch. Dave, is everything all right? It's unusual for you to call me directly. I need to discuss something sensitive about Sarah, something that could affect her position at the company. Can we meet privately? Patricia agreed to meet me at a restaurant downtown, away from their office building. She arrived looking concerned and slightly confused. What's this about, Dave? Sarah's been doing excellent work on the Morrison account. Patricia, has Sarah been working late nights recently, 3 or 4 nights a week? Late nights? No, not at all. The Morrison account wrapped up 3 weeks ago. Sarah's been leaving at normal hours, maybe even earlier than usual. She said she wanted to spend more time at home with you and Emma. My heart sank. She's been telling me she was working late on your account. She's been coming home after midnight, claiming she was at the office. Patricia's face went pale. Oh, Dave, I'm so sorry. She hasn't been working late at all. In fact, she requested to switch to earlier hours so she could leave by 4:30 most days. 4:30. Which meant she had been spending those evening hours with Colin, not at work. The lies were even deeper than I'd thought. Patricia, I need to ask you for a favor. I need documentation of Sarah's actual work hours for the past 3 months. Official records. Can you help me with that? Of course. Dave, is there anything else I can do? This must be devastating for you. Just keep this conversation between us for now. I'm still figuring out then how to handle things. That afternoon, Patricia emailed me Sarah's time card records. The evidence was highly revealing. While Sarah had been telling me she was working until midnight, she'd actually been clocking out before 5 o'clock every single day. She'd been lying to me for months. Thursday evening, I decided to follow her. Sarah left the house at 7 o'clock, claiming she had to go back to the office to finish a presentation. Instead, she drove straight to Colin's apartment complex. I parked across the street and watched her walk into the building like she owned the place. She had a key. My wife had a key to another man's apartment. I sat in my car for 3 hours watching the windows of Colin's unit, seeing their shadows move behind the curtains. At 10:30, the lights went out. At 11:15, they came back on. At midnight, I drove home and pretended to be asleep when Sarah slipped into bed beside me at 12:45. How was work? I asked softly. Exhausting, she whispered. The Morrison presentation's ending me. Another lie. The Morrison account had been finished for weeks. Friday morning, I made the call that would change everything. I contacted David Chen, the best divorce attorney in the city. Chen had a reputation for being ruthless and thorough, exactly what I needed. Mr. Mallory, I've reviewed the evidence you sent over. This is quite comprehensive. Your wife and her stepbrother have been remarkably careless. What are my chances of getting primary custody of Emma? With this evidence? Very good. The court won't look favorably on a mother who's having an affair with a family member, especially when there's evidence of deception and stalking behavior. The photographs your friend Rebecca provided are particularly damaging. What about the financial settlement? Given your wife's adultery and the fact that she's been deceiving you about her whereabouts for months, I think we can negotiate very favorable terms. She'll be lucky to get 30% of the marital assets. That weekend, Sarah announced that she was going to help Colin move into his new apartment. She'd be gone all day Saturday and probably wouldn't be home until late. That's nice of you, I said. Very sisterly. She had the grace to look uncomfortable. He's family, Dave. Family helps family. Right, family. After she left, I called Mike and Jennifer. It's time. Are you ready to do this? They came over at noon, and we spent the afternoon going through my evidence, preparing for what was coming. Jennifer was horrified by the photographs Rebecca had provided. This is stalking, Dave. This is criminal behavior. And Sarah has no idea? Sarah thinks Colin is some romantic hero who's going to rescue her from her boring life. She has no idea she's involved with a predator. At 6 o'clock, Sarah texted me, running late. Don't wait up. At 6:15, I replied, no problem. Take your time. I'll be here when you get home. We need to talk. She didn't respond. Sarah finally came home at 11:30, looking flushed and happy. She found me sitting in the living room with a manila folder on the coffee table in front of me. You said we needed to talk, she said, trying to sound casual. Sit down, Sarah. Something in my voice must have alarmed her because her smile faded. She sat on the edge of the couch, as far from me as possible. I know about Colin, I said simply. Her face went white. I don't know what you mean. I opened the folder and pulled out the first photograph. Sarah walking out of Target, taken without her knowledge. This was taken 3 weeks ago. Colin's been following you around, taking pictures of you like some kind of stalker. Did you know about this? She stared at the photo in shock. No, I had no idea. There are hundreds more. Colin showed them to Rebecca before they broke up. He's been obsessed with you for months, Sarah. This isn't love. This is something sick. I pulled out the time card records. These are your actual work hours for the past 3 months. Notice how you've been leaving at 4:30 every day while telling me you were working until midnight. Where have you been going, Sarah? She couldn't speak. Tears were streaming down her face. And this, I said, pulling out the printed text messages, is the conversation where you and Colin planned your new life together. The one where he calls me a coward who'll just roll over and let it happen. Sarah buried her face in her hands. Dave, please, let me explain. Explain what? That you've been lying to me for months? That you've been sleeping with your stepbrother? That you've been planning to take my daughter and move in with a man who's been stalking you? It's not like that. Then what is it like, Sarah? Because from where I'm sitting, it looks like my wife has been cheating on me with a predator, lying about it, and planning to destroy our family. She looked up at me with red, swollen eyes. I love him, Dave. I know it's complicated, but I love him. And he loves me. We've loved each other for years, but we never acted on it because of you. Because of me? I'm the problem here. You don't understand. Colin and I have a connection you could never understand. We've been through things together, shared experiences that bonded us in ways you can't imagine. What I can't imagine is how you think this is acceptable. What I can't imagine is how you think exposing Emma to this twisted relationship is okay. Emma will understand. She loves Colin. He's been like a father figure to her. That's when I lost it. I stood up so fast the coffee table shook. A father figure? Sarah, he's been taking secret photographs of you like some kind of pervert. He manipulated his own girlfriend with lies and deception. This is the man you want around our daughter? You don't know Colin like I do? I know him better than you think. Rebecca told me everything, Sarah. About his manipulation, his lies, his vindictive behavior when he doesn't get what he wants. You think you're special, but you're just his latest victim. Sarah stood up too, her face flushed with anger. You're jealous. You can't stand that someone else makes me happy. Someone else? He's your stepbrother, Sarah. This is incest. He's not my biological brother. Our parents got married when we were teenagers. That doesn't make it normal. That doesn't make it healthy. And it sure as heck doesn't make it legal in the eyes of the court. She froze. The court? I pulled out the final document from the folder. Divorce papers. Already filed. I'm divorcing you, Sarah. I'm seeking primary custody of Emma. And I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of person you really are. She snatched the papers from my hand, scanning them frantically. You can't do this! You can't take Emma away from me. Watch me. I have evidence of your adultery, your deception, and your involvement with a man who exhibits stalking behavior. No judge in the world is going to give you custody. Sarah collapsed back onto the couch, sobbing. Dave, please, we can work this out. We can go to counseling. We can fix this. There's nothing to fix, Sarah. You made your choice. You chose Colin over your family. Now you get to live with the consequences. What about Emma? She needs her mother. Emma needs a stable home with a parent who makes good decisions. That's not you anymore. I gathered up the documents and headed for the stairs. You have until Monday to find somewhere else to stay. After that, you'll be hearing from my lawyer. Dave, wait, please. But I was done listening. I'd spent months being the fool, the coward, the husband who was too stupid to see what was happening right in front of him. That version of me was dead. The next phase of my plan involved making sure everyone knew the truth about Sarah and Colin. I started with Emma, who deserved to hear it from me before she heard it from someone else. Sunday morning, I took Emma out for breakfast, just the two of us. She's 15, smart, and perceptive. She'd already noticed the tension between her mother and me. Dad, are you and Mom getting divorced? Yes, sweetheart, we are. She nodded like she'd been expecting it. Is it because of Uncle Colin? My heart stopped. What do you know about Uncle Colin? I'm not stupid, Dad. I've seen the way Mom acts around him, and I've seen the way he looks at her. It's gross. Emma, I need you to know that none of this is your fault. And no matter what happens between your mother and me, we both love you very much. I know, Dad, but can I ask you something? Anything. When you get custody of me, I won't have to visit them at their new apartment, will I? Because that would be really weird. No, sweetheart. You won't have to do anything that makes you uncomfortable. Emma smiled for the first time in weeks. Good. Uncle Colin always creeped me out anyway. Monday morning, I sent copies of all my evidence to Sarah's parents and Colin's mother. By noon, my phone was ringing non-stop. Sarah's mother called first. Dave, I just got your email. Please tell me this isn't true. It's all true, Margaret. I'm sorry you had to find out this way, but I thought you deserved to know what your daughter and stepson have been doing. I can't believe this. I raised Sarah better than this, and Colin, I thought he was a good boy. Colin is a manipulative predator, Margaret. Sarah is just his latest victim, but she's also a willing participant, and she's made choices that are going to destroy our family. Colin's mother called an hour later, screaming at me through the phone. How dare you try to destroy my son's life? Colin would never do the things you're accusing him of. Mrs. Patterson, I have photographs, I have text messages, I have witness statements. Your son has been stalking my wife and manipulating her into an inappropriate relationship. The evidence is overwhelming. You're lying. You're just jealous because Sarah loves Colin more than she loves you. I hung up on her. Some people refuse to see the truth even when it's staring them in the face. Tuesday morning, Sarah showed up at my office, begging me to reconsider. She looked terrible. Red eyes, pale skin, clothes wrinkled like she'd slept in them. Dave, please, I've made a terrible mistake. I'll end things with Colin. We can start over. It's too late, Sarah. The divorce papers have been filed. Emma knows the truth. Both our families know the truth. There's no going back. But I love you. I've always loved you. Colin was just a mistake. A mistake that lasted months. A mistake that involved lying to me, cheating on me, and planning to take my daughter away from me. That's not a mistake, Sarah. That's a choice. A series of choices. She grabbed my arm desperately. What if I can prove that Colin manipulated me? What if I can show you that he's not the man you think he is? What are you talking about? He's been lying to me too, Dave. About Rebecca. About his feelings. About everything. I found out yesterday that he's been seeing other women. Even while we were together. He never loved me. He was just using me. I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. And you're just figuring this out now? He played me, Dave. Just like he played Rebecca. Just like he's probably played dozens of other women. I was so stupid. Yes, you were. But that doesn't change anything. You still made the choice to betray our marriage. You still lied to me for months. You still planned to take Emma away from me. Sarah started crying again. What can I do to fix this? There has to be something I can do. There's nothing, Sarah. You burned this bridge when you decided Colin was more important than your family. Now you get to live with the consequences. That evening, I got a call from Mike. Dave, you need to know something. Colin showed up at Jennifer's work today, asking questions about you. He wanted to know if we'd talked to you about him and Sarah. What did Jennifer tell him? She told him to stay away from her and that if he contacted her again, she'd call the police. But Dave, he seemed really angry, almost threatening. You might want to be careful. Thanks for the warning. I'll keep my eyes open. I didn't have to wait long. Wednesday evening, as I was leaving the office, Colin confronted me in the parking garage. You son of a witch! He shouted, storming toward me. You destroyed everything. Sarah won't even talk to me now. Maybe because she finally figured out what kind of man you really are, I said calmly, keeping my distance. You poisoned her against me. You filled her head with lies. I didn't have to lie, Colin. The truth was damaging enough. The stalking photos, the manipulation, the other women you were seeing behind Sarah's back. She figured it out on her own. His face went red with rage. Those photos weren't stalking. I was documenting my love for her. I was creating memories. You were being a creepy predator, and now everyone knows it. Colin stepped closer, his fists clenched. You think you're so smart, don't you? You think you've won? I think I've protected my family from a dangerous man. That's all that matters to me. Your family? Sarah was never really yours. She was just settling for you because she thought she couldn't have me. And yet here we are. She's lost everything, you're exposed as a fraud, and I have custody of my daughter. Funny how that worked out. Colin's eyes were wild with fury. This isn't over, Dave. You have no idea what you've started. Actually, Colin, it is over. Sarah's moved out, the divorce is proceeding, and everyone knows the truth about both of you. You lost. Accept it and move on. I'll destroy you, he hissed. I'll make you pay for this. I pulled out my phone and showed him that I'd been recording our conversation. Is that a threat, Colin? Because I'm pretty sure threatening someone is illegal. Just like stalking. Just like harassment. He realized he'd been trapped and backed away, but his eyes were still full of hate. This isn't over, he repeated, then turned and walked away. I immediately called my lawyer and sent him the recording. By Friday, Colin had a restraining order filed against him, and my lawyer was exploring criminal charges for the stalking behavior. The final confrontation came the following weekend. Sarah had begged me to meet her one last time, claiming she had something important to tell me. Against my better judgment, I agreed to meet her at a neutral location, Murphy's Pub, where Mike and I had first discussed the situation. Sarah was already there when I arrived, sitting in a corner booth with a glass of wine in front of her. She looked older somehow, like the stress of the past week had aged her years. Thank you for coming, she said as I sat down across from her. What did you want to tell me, Sarah? She took a shaky breath. I wanted to apologize, and I wanted you to know that you were right about Colin. I already knew I was right about Colin. No, you don't understand. It's worse than you thought. Much worse. She pulled out her phone and showed me a series of text messages. These are from other women, women who contacted me after word got out about our relationship. Colin has been doing this for years, Dave, targeting married women, manipulating them into affairs, then discarding them when he gets bored. I scrolled through the messages. There were at least a dozen women, all telling similar stories. Colin would befriend them, gain their trust, then slowly seduce them away from their husbands. When the relationships inevitably imploded, he would move on to the next victim. One woman lost her children because of him, Sarah continued. Another lost her house. He destroys families for sport, Dave, and I was just his latest game. Why are you showing me this, Sarah? Because I want you to know that I wasn't lying when I said I loved him. He made me believe he loved me too. He's that good at manipulation. But it was all fake. Everything was fake. I looked at my wife, my soon-to-be ex-wife, and felt a mixture of pity and disgust. That doesn't excuse what you did, Sarah. You still made the choice to betray our marriage. I know, and I'll regret it for the rest of my life. But, Dave, I need you to know that Colin is dangerous. These other women, some of them are afraid of him. He's threatened them, harassed them, even stalked them after they tried to end things. What are you saying? I'm saying be careful. Colin blames you for ruining his plans with me. He's not going to just disappear quietly. As if summoned by our conversation, Colin suddenly appeared at our table. His eyes were reddened, and he smelled like alcohol. Well, well, he slurred. The happy couple having one last heart-to-heart. Colin, you need to leave, Sarah said firmly. We have a restraining order. Restraining order? He laughed bitterly. That piece of paper doesn't scare me, Sarah. Nothing scares me anymore. I've lost everything because of him. He pointed a shaky finger at me. You lost everything because you're a predator and a manipulator, I said calmly. The restraining order is just a formality. Everyone already knows what you are. Colin's face twisted with rage. What I am? I'm a man who knows how to love. I'm a man who appreciates what he has. Unlike you, you boring, pathetic excuse for a husband. Colin, please, Sarah pleaded. Just go home. Sleep it off. This isn't helping anyone. Sleep it off? Colin's voice was getting louder, attracting attention from other patrons. I'm not sleeping anything off. I'm going to make sure everyone knows what kind of man Dave Mallory really is. And what kind of man is that? I asked. The kind who drives his wife into the arms of another man. The kind who's so boring and selfish that his own wife would rather risk everything than spend another day with him. I stood up slowly, keeping my voice level. Colin, you're drunk and you're making a scene. The restraining order says you're supposed to stay at least 500 feet away from both of us. Right now, you're about 5 feet away. That's a violation. I don't care about your stupid restraining order. Well, you should, because I'm calling the police right now. I pulled out my phone and dialed emergency. Colin's eyes went wide as he realized what was happening. You called the cops on me? You actually called the cops? Sir, I need to report a restraining order violation, I said into the phone, never taking my eyes off Colin. Colin looked around the bar, suddenly aware that everyone was staring at us. This isn't over, Dave, he said, but his voice had lost its angry edge. Now he just sounded desperate and pathetic. Yes, it is, I replied. It's been over for a while. You just haven't accepted it yet. The police arrived 10 minutes later and arrested Colin for violating the restraining order. As they led him away in handcuffs, he kept shouting about how this was all a misunderstanding, how he was the real victim. Sarah and I watched in silence as the patrol car disappeared into the night. I'm sorry, Dave, she said quietly. I'm sorry for all of it. I know you are, Sarah, but sorry doesn't fix anything. Sorry doesn't undo the damage. What happens now? Now you figure out how to rebuild your life, and I do the same with mine. 3 months later, the divorce was finalized. I got primary custody of Emma, the house, and 60% of our assets. Sarah got a small settlement and supervised visitation rights with Emma. Supervised because the court was concerned about her judgment and decision-making abilities. Colin was sentenced to 6 months in jail for stalking and harassment charges, plus 3 years of probation. Several other women came forward with similar complaints, and he's facing additional charges in 2 other counties. Sarah moved back in with her parents and started therapy. She sends me emails occasionally, updating me on her progress and asking about Emma. I respond politely but briefly. That chapter of my life is closed. Emma is thriving. She's doing well in school, has a solid group of friends, and seems relieved that the drama is over. She sees her mother every other weekend, but she's made it clear that she prefers living with me. Dad, she said to me last week, I'm proud of you for standing up to them. A lot of kids at school, their parents just give up when stuff like this happens. But you fought for us. I fought for you, sweetheart. You're worth fighting for. As for me, I'm doing better than I expected. The anger has faded, replaced by a sense of peace and purpose. I protected my daughter, exposed 2 people who were willing to destroy a family for their own selfish desires, and came out stronger on the other side. Mike and Jennifer still come over for game nights, though now it's just the 3 of us and Emma. The atmosphere is lighter, more genuine. No more pretending, no more hidden agendas, no more lies. Last month, I ran into Rebecca at the grocery store. She looked happy and healthy, completely different from the broken woman I'd met at Starbucks. Dave, how are you? How's Emma? We're good, Rebecca. Really good. How about you? I'm great. I'm seeing someone new, actually. A good man this time, someone honest and kind. I'm happy for you. You deserve that. We both do, Dave. We both deserve better than what Colin and Sarah put us through. She was right. We did deserve better. And now we have it. Sometimes people ask me if I regret how everything played out, if I regret being so ruthless in my pursuit of the truth and justice. The answer is no. Not for a second. Colin and Sarah made choices that would have destroyed my family. They lied, manipulated, and schemed to get what they wanted, with no regard for the collateral damage. They thought I was weak, that I would just accept their betrayal and fade quietly into the background. They were wrong. I'm not the same man I was a year ago. I'm stronger, more confident, more aware of my own worth. I learned that sometimes the only way to protect the people you love is to fight back, even when it's ugly and painful and messy. Emma and I are building a new life together, one based on honesty and mutual respect. We talk about everything now, her school, her friends, her hopes for the future. She knows she can trust me to tell her the truth and to fight for what's right. That's worth more than any marriage built on lies and deception. Colin is still in prison, serving his sentence, and facing additional charges. Sarah is still in therapy, trying to rebuild her life and figure out how she became the kind of person who would betray her family for a fantasy. And me? I'm exactly where I belong, home with my daughter, living an honest life, surrounded by people who value loyalty and integrity. Game night is over. The players have been exposed, the truth has been revealed, and justice has been served.